everybody. Welcome to Behind the Storyteller. My name's Alyson Cadena. I'm going to give a few minutes just for people to kind of trickle in. This might be your chance to grab a water, get ready to settle in. We have a really good show. We are, for anybody who's not familiar, I'm here on behalf of Power Street Theater. We're going to be talking to the last person featured on our Storyteller Spotlight, where, we get people to tell us their personal monologues. And so on Behind the Storyteller, we're going to ask them some questions about it and, get the inside scoop about what was their inspiration. Basically, just ask them about their career and stuff. So it should be really good. Just make sure, you're ready. You got your questions locked and loaded. And if you haven't checked out their Storyteller Spotlight, you can check that out afterward. I promise I won't give too many spoilers about it. But yeah, so thank you guys and welcome. We're just going to give like another minute for everybody to kind of come in before I add our featured artist. I'm super excited because it's someone that I've actually interviewed before. Her interview is on the Songs for the Soul podcast. That's another Solitary Power Street production. And so I know she's super fun and we're going to have a great time talking to her and catching up on what she's been up to. If everyone's kind of settling in, it's so hard with this virtual world to know what everyone's doing, but I'm gonna assume everyone's ready. So I hope you're ready to welcome our guest on Behind the Storyteller. Her name is RyAnn Bryant.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. I was so excited when I saw that you were on the lineup of people that I get to interview because we had such a good conversation last time.
Yes, likewise. You're my favorite interviewer. I love working with you. It's always a great time.
Thank you. And I love working with you too. I know you're a host as well, so I feel like whenever you combine that energy, like it's just a ball of fun.
Yes.
But we're gonna talk about that in a minute. Don't think I forgot about it. I got my questions locked and loaded.
Okay.
But once again, I want to thank you. You were the last person featured on our Storyteller Spotlight. As I said to everybody, they can check that out later. But basically what it is that we're asking artists of all different disciplines to give us a personal monologue. And so you yourself, just for the people who aren't familiar with you, you are a Philly-based poet, podcaster, and a self-published author. You have a collection of poems available, Situations Volume 1. You're also in some other collaborative works like Poeticals Volume 1. And so basically this was a little bit different from what you're normally doing, right? I will ask you questions about your personal monologue, but before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about the work that you're doing. And so I know you through Solitary, and it's funny because we've talked about this in the other interviews, but you got involved with Solitary during the pandemic when everything was shut down, totally virtually, like some weirdo named Jose who's like Power Street Theater.
Listen. What's so funny? Like, how if you don't know any, with social media in general, it's like everything is spam and everything is like weird. And it was just like, who is this person from New York I never met before? And it's like telling me like, hey, I found you on Instagram and I want you to come to a virtual, open mic. And I'm like, who is this guy? But after, it's one of those things where it's just like, I'm so grateful that we crossed paths. And it was just like so random. And that's how I guess you can know, like, only something great can be this random, So we've been locked and loaded since 2020.
Yeah.
This is going on our third year of being like friends. Like, that's my brother. Like 3 years now. That's so crazy.
I love that. And I think it's super cool because I feel like, when I interviewed you the first time was still like a little bit like shut down, like a little earlier. Mm-hmm. And now like seeing the like evolution of that relationship where, obviously with Power Street, you're doing lots of like Jose and Solar Tree is doing a lot of stuff in Philly, including you yourself are the host of Sunday Soul, sorry,
Sunday Soul.
at Meyer Brewing Company.
Yes.
And so it's an open mic. Can you tell us a little bit about it? But also, because I'm curious, what was that transition like going from the virtual world to like now we're back and in person? What did it feel the same as like when we
I think I needed that interaction. Like it was like virtual world, no lie. It's a great experience because it gives you like an insight to, you don't feel all the way left out. Like when we were in the pandemic, we were shut out. I mean, you guys had to stay home. I still had to go to work. But for the most part, it's like arts, like far as artist wise, like we all didn't have that avenue. We're like stuck in the house. Like, what do we do now? You know what I'm saying? So like being able to have that outlet virtually was an amazing thing. But to go from that and being like kind of we broke free back into the the regular world, it was just such a refreshing experience to see human interaction, like interpersonal connection, with the crowd, the audience, the supporters, the artists that come out to perform. You need that stimulation. It just feels so good. Like you can't get that through mobile devices. You can't. I'm sorry if like you think you can, and it's a good way to like substitute it, but that interpersonal social interaction is like it's nothing like it. And it was just like a great feeling to be able to be out maskless and just doing what we all love to do, and that's share our art and perform. And to do it in my hometown was like it was like weird because I never saw myself doing it. It's like Jose saw something in me that I didn't see, in myself. Like I enjoy, being there to support. I'm always there to support, but to actually be the one like carrying the torch throughout the time was like, can I do this? And is my personality like the one that can do it? And Jose's like, yeah, I need you to do that. So it's amazing to be able to bridge that New York flavor that Jose brings and Gabby brings and Soul Tree and Power Street and the folks that they know that come out from New York to come support us, and then that Philly, our vibe and our lingo and our artists, it's all one big melting pot. And it's just like a beautiful thing to see come together. Like it's a Sunday, it's in the middle of the day, pretty early, so you can still get home on time. It's at a brewing company, so you can get your your nice brewed beers and your cocktails and just relax. And it just feels very safe. It's a very much so a safe space for artists of whatever level. We have had artists at many different levels, whether it's beginner, whether it's like super duper senior performing award winning poets come through there, songwriters, musicians come through there. It's just like such a melting pot. And just to see that all come together and people embrace each other and love each other. We call each other family. I make sure like we're not just like supporters. We're not just coming to mingle. We're family. So if you're a returning member, hey family, hey cousin. If you're a new family member, welcome cousin. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how it feels. It's in a small, intimate space. And it just feels really good. Like people leave there feeling good and want to come back. People look forward to it. I have people now like, when is it coming back? So I'm happy that it's coming back very, very soon.
Yes, that's exciting. I do think that even though the virtual world wasn't like quite as fulfilling as in person, I think it forced us to be a little more connected with the audiences because like
that's true.
I'm in your living room. Like you're
Right.
seeing people like sitting at their dining room table or like sitting on their couch.
Right.
You have to connect with them when they're
Right.
at home and you're 100 miles away.
Right.
So
that was the beauty of it too, to be able to connect with people I would have never connected with otherwise.
Yeah.
Jose, like I probably would have never met Jose like otherwise. Or some of the other New York poets that I've, performed with or that hosted and I got to meet. Never would have met those guys and those connections. So that was a huge benefit for the virtual world for sure.
For sure. But now we're like, okay, but we're glad we get to see people.
Yeah. Glad I can see you in person now.
Yeah, we talked about it before we came on about how like it's different being in the room and like receiving people's energy.
Yes.
So I can imagine, especially the poet, like from being behind a little screen to like now being back in person.
Listen, and people are looking at you like dead in your face, like looking, focusing, waiting for you to start. Like you would think like if something went wrong, you can like close your camera off or mute your mic. Like, all right, I'll be back. Like, give me a second. You can't do that in person, so it definitely is a different beast. But sometimes you need that, like I said, that interaction with people, like face to face. Like you can feel the energy, you can feel the warmth, you can feel the smiles. Like that energy, you need it.
I love that, and I am gonna find my way out there soon enough.
Listen,
I could
come on, like,
yeah.
because we need you to sing.
I'll be there. I will. I swear. I'm like, and Philly's not even far from New York. I'm like,
It's not. We act like it is. It's really so not far.
it is so close. So, but I did. So, we mentioned you did a personal monologue, and again, I encourage everyone, if you haven't seen it yet, after this, go check it out. It's incredible. And I wanted to ask you, being a poet, compared to doing like a monologue, it can be kind of different. And you did use a poetic kind of delivery. A lot of the nuances of your spoken word poetry came out. But was there a difference for you in this experience? I know I don't want to give too much away,
Right.
but in the context of it, you said at one point, like, even this poetry scene has got me conflicted. And so I wonder, is that like, did this free you up in any way to talk about something that maybe you wouldn't have talked about in your poem?
Most definitely. I think in the moment when I wrote that, I was in a very conflicted space on whether I wanted to continue with poetry or not. And it was because like the title of it, like I don't want to give too much, but it's more recluse than I thought I was. Like I'm thinking that I'm just this huge socialite, this huge social butterfly, and that I have the social meter to 1,000. And it's like I have to respect that I'm not always that. I do need time to recharge and fill my battery back up and just to be silent at times. And then it was just like I'm big on support and genuine like energy. So if I've ever felt like disgenuine energy from anyone, like it hurts like for being an artist because it's like we all were not at this level of, superior poeting to the point where we can't just accept people for where they're coming from. So when I wrote that, I was just like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. Like, I love it. It's something I enjoy doing. It's something I enjoy supporting. But I don't know if this aligns with like who I am personally, like my morals, like being out in the scene and seeing certain things that like kind of turns me off. I don't know if I can continue being around it. It was like that type of moment. And what I had to realize is just like that's just people in general. That's life in general. Like you're gonna find that whatever I'd go through that in my real job.
Yeah.
So it was just like you can't let that deter you away from what you know you're supposed to be doing and the positive responses you get from doing what you know you're supposed to be doing. So it's just like finding that healthy balance to know like, you don't have to um extend yourself beyond your boundary of needing your personal time to regroup. And you don't have to take on the problems that you witness or like people being like shady or disingenuine or anything like that. You don't have to take that on. You don't have to be the empath to that extent. You observe it, note it, and then keep it pushing. Like, don't take it personal.
Right. And I think, you talk about like there's the artistry and then there's the real life. And
Yes.
and finding that balance, I think, especially for you, like shout outs to our nurses and our medical professionals that like you're out there serving the community and then
Right.
you go home and you do your artistry. And in many ways you're still serving the community and like still giving
Right.
so much of yourself. So like
Right.
how to do that in a healthy way that you're not like completely exhausted at the end of it.
Right.
Are there any tricks that you found that kind of help you stay? Because like, arts are so exhausting in
Yeah.
general. Like, especially for those of us who have been doing it for some time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
keeping persistent, keeping, keeping the passion when it
Yes.
starts to feel like work. Do you have any tips
Yeah.
on like what's worked for you to kind of keep that fire alive?
Yeah, so I would call them like a solid like sisterhood in poetry. Shakira Thornton and Stephanie Ox, like both of them I consider like my sisters in poetry, sisters in writing. And they kind of like all three of us like, but we encourage each other and we're not afraid to be honest and maybe say like, I'm not feeling this and I'm feeling this type of way and I'm feeling conflicted. And it's just like we all like bring each other together. Like, listen, it's okay to feel this way. You can vent to me, but also don't lose sight of the prize and your mission, your purpose in this writing journey that you're on. And I think that's important to have a good tribe. Like you have to know your tribe and your support system regarding like whether it's art or anything in life, but even your artistry, you need a tribe to be able to like vent to and get a positive reinforcement to keep the mission going. Otherwise, like you get in your mind, like it's natural. It's nothing like that anybody hasn't went through before. It's quite natural to get in your head about a lot of things, and I go through that as an artist a lot. I'm always in my head. I'm getting better at it and talking myself out of like thinking certain things, but in the beginning and even till now, I still get in my head about things, overthinking certain things like performance wise or things I just observe, and it's just like you just start to thinking, and it's good to have that positive reinforcement to bounce back ideas and like conflict, just to let you know, like either to reinforce what you're saying is correct or to just say, you know what, you're overthinking it. Relax, take a breather, and let's like figure out how we can move forward in a positive manner. To still focus on the journey.
Right, and just sometimes you just need somebody to like believe in you, like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
when you have that strong community, like they'll believe
yeah.
in you when you're like, I'm the worst, I can't do this, and
Right. And Jose
they'll
is
make
like
you
that too.
up.
Like Jose is definitely one of my like my vet people, my positive reinforcement people. Cause like he's so calm and he was like, like, why are you tripping? Like, what are you even talking about? Like me, I'm not like I'm calm for the most part, but when it comes to like me wanting to be, I think my passion comes out when I want something to be really good.
Mhm.
Like especially if it's not for myself, like I feel like I have to perform a certain way, especially just for like a favor or for someone else. Like I'm like OCD, like this has to be this has to be perfect, and it's just like if it's not, or if I feel any, I'm like no, it can't be.
Yeah,
Like overthinking everything. But Jose is like he's another person. It's just like relax, like take a
yeah.
breather
I
and come back to life.
I think sometimes as an artist, it's like you'll have this amazing monumental idea, and for
Hmm.
whatever reason, you're like, "But am I the one equipped to do it?" It's like this weird, like, well, I have this great idea and I
Yes,
want to honor it, and then I feel like I'm not good enough to
yes,
honor it properly, and then
absolutely, absolutely. But I think it's just the complex mind of an artist, and that's how like it's just like sometimes you can be copacetic. Everything is copacetic, and then next thing you know, you're like chaotic in your head. Everything is a million things going on. And you're like, how can I quiet my brain? Like, how can I just shut all the tabs up? Like, it's just like it's a gift and a curse. Like, I love my beautiful complex mind, but it also is like it stresses me out sometimes.
that is so true. That is so
Yes.
true. But I did want to ask. So
Hmm.
you did in this. You alluded to it earlier, but also in the poem. That you wrote this on a break.
Hmm.
Are you still on a break? Are you working on things? Is there anything you can give us, like a little sneak peek of what you've been working on? And if
So,
you are on a break, then that's cool. Then, like, how are you spending that break, girl?
so I'm still, so I'll put it like, when an artist is in like, or a singer or rapper or any type of music artist on album mode,
Yeah.
I'm in album mode. So take that how you want to take that. I'm currently in album mode, preparing, of course, for Sunday Soul to return in March. But this was also like a part of my break, like whole winter. I believe like so. I'm really big into astrology, and I'm always, we always talk about the new year happening in January, and it's like we rush to think that we have to have it all figured out, all together. Everything is supposed to bloom in January. Well, technically, we're still in winter. Things are in like hibernation. Everything is like rusting at this moment. So I also apply that to my life as well. Like springtime is when you bloom. Flowers come out. Everything is starting to bloom. So that's how I treat my life. This is when I come back. This is when Sunday Soul is coming back. This is when certain things that I can't speak on at the moment will be, put out in the air so everyone can know what's going on or what's been happening during this break. But yeah, we all need that time, and I don't feel the rush to do it January 1st.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in album mode.
Yeah, I love that. I usually call it a pivot because I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna be on stage as much, but
Right.
pivoting to something else that's like it suits where I'm at right now. Like, hey girl, it's winter. I don't want to go outside. I'm in album
Right.
mode. Album mode can be inside things.
Right. And it's the perfect time to get ready for everything that you're planning to do for the forthcoming year. Like, it's cold. Nobody wants to come out, like you said. Like, it's a perfect time to just put your head down and get to work. So that's how I feel like that's what I've been doing. Just keeping my head down.
I love that. And I'm like, I know some of the projects you have on the work are with Power Street and they're gonna be amazing. I'm so excited for one in particular that's very close.
Yes.
I want to tell her.
So excited.
But yeah, so a lot of great things to come from that. Well, I mean, we're up on time. This was just to give y'all a little taste of RyAnn. I know y'all fell in love with her in the little time we had. But I want to again say that, like, anybody that hasn't checked out her monologue, go check it out. It's beautiful, it's poetic, it's really deep, and I think especially for us artists, it speaks to like the experience of like life and art and balancing it all and mental health and how all that plays into just getting by day to day. So
Yes.
I was like, this is me. I was like, this is RyAnn wrote a personal monologue about me.
I'm happy that it's so relatable, and I'm happy to hear that. That's what I aim. So it's not just me, because a lot of times, like I always say, you think it's just you until you share it. And people are like, no, it's not just you. I go through the same thing, and you're like, yes, like we both in this together,
right? And I feel like the more personal it is and like specific, other people also like relate somehow. Like the more generic it is, the less it hits. But when it's like the most like, this is literally my life, people are like, me too.
Yes. Listen, I love it. I'm not mad at it at all.
Well, I love it. Well, actually, do you plan to perform this at all? Or like, since it is kind of like in the poetic realm, is this?
I've been thinking about it. Because you know what? Even like reciting it, I just know I'm a fast talker, and I guess it's my East Coast about me. I can't help it. But I noticed like when I did the monologue, I'm like, all right, slow it down. Get all your words out so the people can really understand where you're coming from. And I think that I'm going to take that, nothing that soon, but I think I'm going to utilize that definitely in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, it resonates. So please, I hope you see other iterations of it. I hope you get to do it on a Sunday when I happen to be in Philly for Sunday.
Yes. Yes. Come on out, because now I'm going to hold you to it.
Yeah, I know Jose's been telling me, he's always like, are you going to come for this side and the other? I'm like,
I know. Come on, just take the hour and a half, 45-minute trip out there.
For real, I've done worse. That is New York, an hour and a half is like getting from Queens to Brooklyn on public.
Exactly. So
it's all the same.
I've traveled those streets before and know, because listen, I hate going to Brooklyn. I'll go to Manhattan, or so I'll do that in a heartbeat, because going to Brooklyn, count me out.
It's so close yet so far. Like,
yes.
I'm like, that's another country. I can't. But yes, so again, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story. I want to also shout out that if you guys fell in love with RyAnn, which I know you did, you can find her on Instagram. Her Instagram handle is at I am Rya, RYA. And there's a link in her Instagram where you can find a whole bunch of podcast interviews she's done, like the one with me, as well as her self-published book of poems, Situations Volume 1, which is absolutely amazing. And then if you are in the Philly area, you can also come, as we've said, check her out. Sundays in March, they're coming back.
March 19th is the first one.
Awesome. March 19th. And you can also follow the Storyteller page and you'll find it there. But It's Sunday Soul open mic. Artists of all kinds are invited to come out, and it's at Myers Brewing Company.
Mm-hmm.
Um, anything else you want to shout out? Anything else you want to tell us before we head out?
Absolutely. I think we covered all bases. Just shout out to Solar Tree and Power Street Theater, Jose, Gabby. Shout out to my poet friends. I love you all. Shout out to you, Alyson, for just being amazing at what you do. It's making me feel so cozy.
I love it. I love it. And this
See,
was
next time I gotta come in and we gotta be on the couch next to each other.
for real. For real. We got to do like it in person because we still
Yes.
haven't met in person. So,
Yes.
you know, we've been doing this virtual thing for too long. So we got
For a
to,
long time. Yes.
but yeah, so check all that out. Thank you, RyAnn. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
My name is Alyson Cadena, and on behalf of Power Street Theater, stay tuned for the next Behind the Storyteller.